Welcome to Peers, political economic elemental researchers and strategists. At Peers, we stand as your all-in-one partner, adept at steering you through the intricate realms of politics, economics, and business. Join us at Peers. We're our seasoned team with expertise in politics, economy, business, and law is committed to your success. Together, we will navigate the future, making informed decisions that lead to lasting impacts. Follow us on Facebook, X, and LinkedIn to stay informed about how we can help you achieve your goals.
Previously on episode 22, unpacking the 6.35 trillion, what the 2025 budget means for every Filipino.
25 budget dahil it affects everybody. Yung kabuhayan, yung pagtugon sa inflation at marami pang ibang importanteng bagay na nakaka-affect sa buhay ng pangkaraniwang Pilipino at sa ating lahat.
So, main objectives of this budget, Colonel.
Siguro, Tony, bago ko sagutin yan, kailangan siguro medyo bigyan ko lang ng konting konteksto yung description natin tungkol sa budget na kasi marami kasi ang inisip na masyadong malaki yung budget na 6.3 trillion. So siguro bago tayo pumunta doon sa saan ba paglalaanan yung budget, siguro kailangan muna natin how much of that 6.3 trillion ang talagang mapupunta for development objectives and purposes. Kung titingnan natin, yung budget kasi is composed of yung new appropriations at saka yung mga automatic appropriations. Kung titingnan po natin sa 6.3 trillion na yan, ang share po ng doon sa automatic appropriation ang share po ng debt ang sa pagbayad po ng ating mga interest payments sa mga utang na na-incur natin especially during the pandemic, about 13.8% of that 6.3. Debt pa lang po yun debt pa lang yun na so less net of debt servicing, net of interest payments. Ang matitira po doon sa 6.3 trillion o ang tinatawag po natin na primary expenditure lang po 5.47 trillion. Yung dalawa lang po sa inyo, yung program at saka unprogram. Yung program, yun yung parang na-identify na po yan na mga programs, activities, projects. So nakalaan na po yan for Yung program appropriations naman, yun yung pwede kasing mag-decide pa yung executive or yung legislative kung saan po nila pwedeng ilaan yung pondo as long as there is one may trigger po yan meron kang excess revenue or meron kang additional loan proceeds, so utang na naman yun na so mo dyan, Sir Tony, kunwari yung non-allocable, yung sinasabi ko na personal services, automatic appropriations, lumalaki po yung share niya from 56.4% sa 2023, tumaas na yan ng 59.7% sa 2025. So, ang laki, medyo malaki yung jump niya. Tapos, hindi ko lang na-highlight yung allocable, pero pag titingnan niyo yung allocable, sa taas lang siya ng non-allocable, from 43.6% noong 2023, 40.3% na lang siya sa 2025. So lumiliit po yung portion ng budget na talagang pwede siyang paglaanan for development spending. In terms of share, medyo paliit yung trend. Sa social naman, medyo mix siya. Tumaas ng 2024 tapos bumagsak ng 2025. Pero ang medyo dyan, siguro ang defense medyo malaki masyado yung may pagka-substantial increase. Kaya pag titingnan nyo po sa level from 2024 to 2025, almost half. Imagine mo from 278.1 naging 419 billion siya. So ang laki po nung laki po nung pagtaas ng defense ng gobyerno is yung sa road networks. So ang tanong namin kasi is parang is it time that we should be allocating more to other infrastructure outlays such as yun nga sinasabi namin yung massive transport system or better public transport system that would alleviate traffic congestion.
Okay.
Tama ba, Sir Tony, di ba?
Nakapokus palagi tayo sa kalsada eh.
Sa kalsada eh. Na ano, and yet, I mean, for the longest time, Sir Tony, siguro naman, pag titignan mo yung road density, lalo yung paved road density natin, ano siguro mga more than 90% of road network in the Philippines are either paved or in some way or ano, at least medyo ano naman medyo maayos naman yung pagka-construct or pagkagawa.
Magandang araw, mga ka-peers. Welcome to another informative episode of Peers and the Town Hall. Today, we are focusing on a vital topic for our local government units entitled Pursuing Local Governance Through Realistic Finance. Magaling na local na pamalahan sa tamang paglalaan. I'm your host, Pierre Tony Avila, and joining me today are two distinguished guests who will share their insights and expertise on this matter. We have Mayor Romel Arnado, a seasoned local government leader for his innovative approaches to governance. And we have also a former Undersecretary Oster Panadero, who is also joining us. He brings extensive experience in public administration and local governance from his years of service at the Department of Interior and Local Government. Good morning, Mayor Romel, and good morning, Josek Oster.
Good morning, Tony. And good morning also, former Yusik Astor. I called him Mr. DILG always before. And thank you much for this opportunity to be able to discuss, especially local fiscal management. Kung maraming pera, hindi naman natin nagagasto ng husto. Kung meron naman mga project, wala namang pera. So I think it's a good forum na maidi-discuss din natin. And I can also share what I have experienced in my small municipality of Kauswagan.
Okay, tama po yun, Mayor. And, bago ho tayo magsimula, nais kong ipaalala ang tamang pamamahala ng pundo ay isang mahalagang aspeto ng governance. Ngunit ang tanong, paano nga ba natin magagawa ito sa realistiko at makatarungang paraan? Yan po ang tatalakayin natin ngayong araw kasama ang ating mga eksperto. Ano nga ba ang ibig sabihin na realistic finance? Sa konteksto ng local governance, sa simpleng salita, ito ay pag-aayon sa mga layunin ng lokal na pamamalahan at ng estratehiyang pinansyal na praktikal at base sa tunay na kapasidad ng lokal na unit. Mahalaga ito para masiguro ang sustainable development o ang tuloy-tuloy na pagunlad ng isang komunidad. Mayor Arnaldo, sa inyong karanasan bilang local leader, paano ninyo naayos ang inyong layunin sa pamamahalaan upang magkasya ang iyong pondo? Ano nga ba ang mga hakbang na ginagawa ninyo upang masiguro ang bawat proyekto ay realistiko at nakaayon sa kapasidad ng LGU ninyo?
Okay. Meron tayong kasabihan na we cannot spend more than what we make, or we cannot go beyond what has been allocated. In my own personal experience, we became mayor sa Kauswagan, which is very depressed municipality, walang pera. What I did was to identify what the people needs. Kasi we have the obligation to deliver the basic services to the government, to the people. It's an obligation of the government. So we need to identify what the people really needs, an immediate need, and how much do we need. Based on that, that is where I based on how we fit in and be able to satisfy the needs of the people. So we make sure we cannot go beyond what has been allocated. But at a later time, nakita ko na we need to be a little bit more flexible because there are a lot of things that we need to address immediately, especially in my town, which has been war-torn municipality. And when I came as mayor in 2010, there has still been harassment between the MNLF with the military. So we have to strategize our spending in order to be able to also deliver. But it's not enough. We have to go on external source in order to be able to comply on be able to have the budget in order to make the people feel that there is governance, and the government this time is concerned about what the obligation of the government towards them. So we learned as we went along, we learned how to balance off the budget, and for us to identify what the need of the people, immediate need, is our strategy in the beginning. And how much do we need? How much money do we need to allocate on such need?
Maraming salamat po, Mayor. At ngayon naman po tatanungin natin si Yusek Austir. Mula po sa inyong malawak na karanasan sa DILG, ano po ang masasabi niyo tungkol sa mga estratehiya na maaaring gawin ng mga LGU upang magkaroon ng sapat na kita nang hindi masyadong nagpapaigting ng buwis?
Unang-una, magandang umaga sa lahat. Maraming salamat, Tony, for the opportunity. It's a privilege to join the experts on this matter, Mayor Arnado, and you, of course, have been doing a lot of things on local finance. So balikan ko yung tanong, ano yung ating pwedeng pamamaraan? At si Mayor, binanggit niya nga, prioritization is key. Sabi nga ni Mayor, hindi ka naman pwedeng gumasta nang hindi mo kikitain. Okay. So kung ang tanong, paano natin magkaroon ng pondo para na hindi naman taas ang buwis? Ang ibig sabihin lang yan ay i-maximize talaga ang iyong collection efficiency ng iyong local sources. Doon ang simula. At maraming LGU ang gumagawa niyan, ano, na without raising the rates, fees and charges, just improve efficiency of collection kasi it's really low, no? I mean, BLGF will tell you on the average the local efficiency is below 50%. Pataasin lang sana 'yon, lalo na sa RPT. So siguro, ewan ko lang kasi 'di ba may bago tayong batas sa real property tax, yung RP-VARA. So kung ma-implement na yan, which is probably towards the end of the year or early next year, ang LGU ay may sapat na basihan upang palaguin pa, no? Pangalawa, which I think the Mayor is also saying already, is You just have to be very extra proactive, patient in trying to access other financing in the other levels of government. Marami hong mga national agencies na may mga sariling mga programa na pwedeng i-avail ng ating LGUs. So hindi ho kailangan ng taxes doon. Punyagi lang po. Nagpagpupunyagi at alam mo ang iyong priority, hanapin kung nasaan yung mga pondo na yan. Ang madali mong makita yan sa national budget. Kung marunong ang ating mga LGU magbasa ng General Appropriations Act, nandun ho yun. Okay? DSWD, agriculture, labor, etc. From livelihood to, sa ngayon, ang paborito na yung ayuda. Alam natin kung nasaan yung mga budget ng mga ayuda, pwede mong i-access. Pangatlo, because it is also allowed under the law, pwede din namang manghiram o mangutang ang ating mga local governments subject to the limitations of the law. Hanggang sa may sapat na kakayahan na bayaran ang pagkakautang, posible ding i-avail yung source na yan. Ano? Kasi ang sabi nga ni Mayor, kailangang maliwanag muna yung priority mo talaga. At kung of course, everyone wants to move faster, no? 3 years lang kasi, kailangan mong pabilisin, kailangan mo mag-explore ng alternative financing sources. May mga ibang LGUs na kumbaga ba ay yung kanilang bayan ay nasa mga priority ng ating international development partners. So nagkakaroon ng additional grant yun. Pero kailangan ding ang mayor, ang gobernador ay aktibo na i-promote yung kanilang mga priorities para maisama sila doon. So yun yung 4 siguro na sources na pwede ko mabanggit.
Maraming salamat po, Yusek. Pero nung panahon ninyo sa DILG, natatandaan ko maraming mga grants and projects ang DILG para sa mga LGUs. Meron ka pa bang natatandaan?
Tama ho yun. I think, I don't know kung natandaan din ni Mayor, yung BUB, no? Yung bottom-up budgeting, napakalaki ho nun na yun, straight grant yun sa LGU, sa mga, mga civil society with the LGU agreeing. And it's the post evaluation done by PIDS really confirmed the benefit of that program. I think sa ngayon, mayroon pa naman yung assistance to municipalities yata o SLG, support to local government ang tawag ngayon. May not be the same scale of a program but it's there. And other barangay-based programs that the department is still providing. So the idea is, hindi lang naman DILG ang may ganyan. Pwede ring ma-access yan ng mga, lalo na ng mga lower income LGUs. Yun yata yung priority ngayon. Oo.
Okay, maraming salamat, Yusek. At alam natin na marami din mga grants, lalo na yung mga nakaka-receive ng awards no? Sa
Yeah.
LG.
Ang Performance Challenge Fund is a major, I think lumago na ng husto. Nagsinimulan niya ng mga 2012, 2013, tigi 1 milyon lang. Balita ko ngayon, mataas na yan kung depende sa performance.
Okay. Maraming salamat po, Yosek. Bukod sa pagkakaroon ng sapat na kita, mahalaga rin ang tamang paglalaan ng mga pundo. Dito papasok ang konsepto ng tawag na fiscal discipline, kung saan ang LGU ay nagbabalanse sa pagitan ng ambisyosong mga proyekto at mga tunay na pangangailangan ng komunidad. Ngunit may mga ilang LGUs na mas pinipiling magtago ng surplus sa kanilang financial statements. Ang tanong, tama ba itong estratehiyang ito? O ano hong masasabi nyo, Mayor Arnado?
Well, if within the fiscal year, hindi ko tinatawag na surplus yun. Unspent money yun, unspent budget yun. But if it goes beyond outside the fiscal year, I call it surplus. But hindi ibig sabihin may surplus, you're looking good. For me, you have problema sa implementation dyan. based on the DBM memo circular that we have to go on zero budgeting. Having a surplus, the way I look at it and my personal experience is not a good habit. You have to zero out your budget within the year. And of course, hindi naman natin ma-avoid yan. Meron talagang surplus. And if it goes beyond the fiscal year, you can always call to make it as a realignment for a similar program, but making sure that it's within your EIP, your annual investment plan. But before we do this, we always have consultative planning. We always met with our local finance committee, and we make sure the budget will always also be a match. It will match the project or the whatever we need to do, what we want to do. But talking about surplus, in my case, it is not good fiscal management. You have to disperse and use it in accordance to the DBM memorandum circular. It does not mean that you look good with it because you have savings, but that is inefficiency in your implementation in your program. Meron naman tayong mga program of work. Nandun naman yung the amount of budget that we need to spend. But again, if it went beyond the fiscal year, we call it surplus. That it's a surplus within the year, I call it unspent budget.
Tama ho. Tama ho, Mayor. Maraming salamat po. Tanungin naman natin si Yusek Oster. Ano po sa pananaw ninyo ang benepisyo at posibleng mga downside ng pagkakaroon ng surplus sa financial statements ng mga local government units?
Una, sangayon ako kay Mayor, no? Yung ang definition ko kasi you might have a surplus, that doesn't mean you're financially okay. Yung klaruhin lang natin. Tama yun. Unang-una, yung surplus, siguro yan yung kondisyon na sobrang-sobra ang laki ng iyong revenue, income, at hindi mo siya mauubos kahit na gawin mo ang lahat ng dapat mong gawin at ang lahat ay nag-benefit na, may sobra ka pa. Pag hindi ganun ang kondisyon mo, which I doubt how many LGUs are in that kind of a situation na sobrang, siguro yung ibang highly urbanized ng Metro Manila, baka. Pero yung karamihan or majority, if not almost all LGUs, are always in a situation na yung binabanggit ni Mayor, may kabagalan ng iyong paggamit, or probably hindi mo pa naggawa ng tama ang iyong targeting, at yung nalaan ay hindi mo minaximize kung anong mayroon ka. You know what I mean? Parang, bakit may namamatay pa dito sa panganganak? Bakit ba may mga bata pa na malnourished? Pero may surplus. Mayroon kang hindi nagamit. Hindi yata tama yung ganong klaseng sitwasyon. So kailangan gamitin eh. But of course I also realize na ang data ng Bureau of Local Government Finance is telling us na even the 20% development fund, the utilization is low. Kaya I would probably say ang tamang pamamahala ng ating pinansyal na resources sa local, mahalaga na there is a point in the fiscal year that you really examine, and normally this is mid-year, no? Yung bang paggamit mo ay mabilis such that you are able to exhaust all your resources towards the end of the year. Kasi kung mabagal ka sa first quarter, kailangan gawa ng paraan na magamit mo yung kung anong mayroon ka for the second quarter such that you will attain your targets. Yun lang naman ang ating bottom line. If in the process you're able to attain everything, meaning kung ano yung binalak mo, nagawa mo, nabigay yung serbisyo, yet you have done that at the most cost-effective way, nakatipid. Siguro yan ay okay lang. Yan ay papasok ka doon sa efficiency ano natin, criteria, such that may sobra kang dalhin sa kasunod. Pero hindi mo tina-target 'yon. Kasi dapat uubusin mo kung ano yung nakalaan para may magbenepisyo. The LGUs are not in the business of building profits, di ba? Unlike the private organization, kailangan may profit, may dividends kung sino mang may-ari. Dito ang performance na nakarating ba ang serbisyo sa lahat, hindi lang sa iilan, sa lahat. So nangangailangan. So yan ang ating batayan.
So ang pinaka-bottom line talaga dito, Yusek, ay yung tinatawag na budget utilization, no?
Yeah,
Yung kung ano yung nakalaan sa budget ng LGU, dapat gastusin lahat ng nandoon. Ngayon,
okay. Oo.
kapag hindi nagastos, ibig sabihin may surplus dahil hindi nagastos. Pero kung ang pagkakaroon ng surplus, I agree with you, Yusek, na kung ang pagkakaroon ng surplus ay dahil very efficient ka sa pag-implement ng project, ay naka-saving, karoon ka ng savings, then yun ang siguro magandang indicator
Yun.
na nagbibigay ng magandang governance, no? Ang ibig sabihin po noon. So, ngayon, ay isa kasi sa mga issue kasi, Yusek, dahil ang sabi ng mga iba, ito, hindi ko alam kung ito'y naranasan ni Mayor Arnado, no? Ang sabi kasi ng iba, kaya nahirapan silang gamitin lahat ng nakabudget ay dahil sa problema o paghirap sa procurement. Tama po ba ito, Mayor? Ano po ba yung inyong experience? Kasi meron po tayong ngayong bagong batas, no? Meron tayong bagong batas na sigurado na may epekto rin to sa procurement ng mga LGUs. Mayor?
Yeah, perennial problem talaga yung procurement. We have been challenged with procurement. Kaya lang meron naman tayong batas na sinusunod. If kami, nung primero, hirap talaga yung procurement process, lalo na itong mga conferences with the COA, doon na yung learning namin na if we are being warned, huwag na nating uulitin. Huwag na yung lalabas ulit sa next na exit conference. We make sure that we learn our lessons. Then in the process, magiging madali. Ang nangyari sa ibang LGU is they keep on yung ginagawa pa rin yung mga bawal. We never learned our lessons. But I think I understand also na meron talagang situations na talagang you can don't repeat the same. But as long as it's justifiable, ang kuha naman, they're here to help us. And then kami naman, we always try to adhere what has been instructed. Because itong procurement process talaga, this has been a perennial problem with all the LGUs in the country. But I think, again, there are laws that needs to be followed. But if we will just adhere and strictly follow the law, maiwasan natin yan. Totoo yun. Totoo talaga yun, yung issue ng procurement ng mga LGUs.
Yosek, sa inyo, experience nung kayo po ay nasa DILG, marami din bang mga LGUs ninyo na nagsusumbong sa inyo na nahirapan sila tungkol sa procurement?
Yes. Well, but then you have to you have to a little bit go details on this, no? Procurement of what?
Yeah.
Ang mabigat na I think where there are really challenges if you are going into capital projects, meaning construction. Malaking issue 'yun. Procurement ng supplies mo sa operation, madali 'yun. Gamot and etc. sa medisina, hindi yan masyadong yung procurement sa construction, I think the suggestion, I still recall the discussion with this kasi nagpatulong din sa DPWH. Sabi ng DPWH, kailangan ng konting dito, yung anticipatory action. Kasi pwede ka naman, and I think this is where the issuance on tawag dito, yung you go through the bidding in a fourth quarter but do not award it until you have approved the budget ordinance.
Mm.
May ganong schemes na eh. And that's, wag ka lang, ang violation sa COA kasi is you awarded something
Mm.
na wala kang budget. Talagang stricto yun. Pero kung nagsimula ka lang, gumawa ka na ng program of work, nag-announce ka ng bidding, hindi mo in-award, meaning ginawa mo siya ng October to December, no? Kasi ang budget ginagawa pa sa time na yan, ang awarding mo sa January na.
Mhm.
Oo, Brian. Yan yung tinatawag nila na pre-procurement activities. I think there are issuances on that. Ang namumroblema talaga ang LGU sa infrastructure, kung mag-bidding ka pa doon na sa first and second quarter. Ibig
Mhm.
sabihin yan, mag-mobilization third quarter, rainy season na yun. So mag-slow down na yung construction. Hindi na naman magagamit yung nakalaan na pundo.
Yan.
So ang objective is really to start construction summer. And that's really your March, April, May. Well, that's going to be a problem next year because of the election year. May ban ka sa 45 days before and 45 days after. So expect na 2025 is a slow year for construction. Malaki na naman yung, however you want to call it, surplus or savings or unspent money. Pero pagdating ng 2026, ano na yan, I think the municipal engineers, they know the pre-procurement activities. Ang key dyan ay gawin mo na yung annual procurement plan mo.
No.
Kasi technically, you cannot procure something which is not in your APP. Diyan maraming nadisgrasya sa COA. Nag-procure na wala sa APP or may APP na hindi approved. So pagka-approve ng budget,
Yeah.
hopefully well, I think some LGUs now are moving faster than before, no? Approve na ang budget ng November eh.
Mm.
Hindi na hinihintay yung end of the year.
Mm.
So, yung ano pa lang, yung ready na rin yung APP or the annual procurement plan to implement the next fiscal year's budget. January, first week, approve. Then kung nag-pre-procurement ka on the fourth quarter, award ka na. Ano naman eh, the listahan of contractors are all over. No? You can, subject to rules and the regulations of DPWH, COA, and local government. You can actually select already, but huwag ka lang mag-award. Kasi ang inihintay mo ay yung approved ordinance ng budget at yung approved annual procurement plan.
Yeah, nabanggit ni Yusek tungkol dito sa implementation ng mga malalaking project, no? Lalo na yung mga capital outlays at saka et cetera. Pero isa sa mga studies na nagsasabi na isa sa mga nahirapan dito ang mga LGUs ay yung tinatawag na technical capacity, no? Lalo na ng mga municipal engineers, no? Lalo na sa mga lower income groups na LGUs. Ito, Yusek, na ewan ko kung natatandaan mo yung Bohol earthquake
Yeah.
assistance, di ba? Na kailangan magpadala ng DILG ng tawag ito mga engineers yata doon sa Bohol para lang matulungan yung mga municipal engineers sa pag-implement sa biglang dami ng pera na gagawin nila. Natandaan mo ba yung
Yeah, totoo talaga yon. Saka at that time, the money is available only for that particular fiscal year. I think Bohol earthquake was around June or July, third quarter eh. So kailangan mo siyang ubusin at at least i-program. So yung municipal engineer, normally tatlo lang yan sila, na isang municipal na engineer talaga, then may kasamang isang draftsman and etc. Kung malakihan yung projects, talagang nahirapan. So ang ginawa namin noon, para lang nakipag-usap kami sa mga university sa Cebu, yung may mga civil engineering department, pwede ba kayo magpa-deploy doon at maggawa ng program of work? Tulungan na lang talaga na ma-design. So somehow nangyari yon. Even Yolanda, no, after post Yolanda, we just have to request the engineering schools, and this is just to help the MEO, the municipal engineer, to prepare the program of work kasi you need the program of work to access funding eh. Now I think kung wala namang calamity, kung hindi yan in response, there is a scheme among the municipal engineers na nagtutulungan. Pero kung nagmamadali at malakihan, you just have to bring in extra help. In some other places, we seek the help of the military, the
Yeah.
engineering brigade, kasi maraming inhinyero din doon, marunong din sila gumawa ng program of work. Kasi ang program of work leads you to your estimates,
Yeah.
which is used in the bidding.
Yeah.
So yun ang proseso. But I think over moving forward, there's a potential to have really close working relationship with engineering schools to help the LGU fast track and their design as well as the preparing the program of work or even the DED, the detailed engineering design. Kasi medyo technical na rin yan eh.
Okay, thank you, Yusek. Kayo po, Mayor, ano po yung inyong karanasan tungkol dito sa mga requirements tungkol sa procurement?
Sa amin naman, hindi ako masyadong nahirapan. Although, malaman ko lang yan na meron kami problema when it comes to with regard to the process of procurement. Tama yung mga sinabi ni Yusek, yung tungkol sa mga big projects. And we have a huge challenge recently last year when we hosted the World Organic Agriculture Congress, where we have to establish a new facility, a convention center. It was all done within our budget, no? Because as what I've said earlier, if we took the chance to host, meaning we are capable. Isa sa mga problema yung tinatawag ng mga technical support in the process of doing the establishing the facility. Doon talaga na subukan namin yung with regards to procurement. Kasi although pasok naman lahat sa EIP because yung aming supposed to be hosting was already anticipated the year previous. So kaya lang meron talaga yung kukulangin ka, mga ganon, meron ding area na sobra yung pera doon and then ano yung gagawin. But we make sure wala naman kaming naging problema with regards to the procuring process. Meron kaming create na special team doon. Meron kaming in-house GSO, in-house inventory, lahat parang ginawa namin ng sariling mundo yung pag-establish ng bagong project, yung bagong facility. So when it comes to liquidation, hindi na kami nahirapan dahil na-isolate din namin yung mga purchases. We were very strict in our procuring process during that time. We have to make sure that we cannot procure what has not been in the APP. We cannot do something which is not aligned with our EIP. We're able to successfully host it, and then it was really a good feedback to our municipality. Was the stigma of being a war-torn area, dumating yung mga foreigners from 32 countries, over 250 foreigners that came. 350 foreigners that came to Kauswagan, and it really reverses the image of my municipality. It is a project that money well spent for me, because we need it for Kauswagan. We need it for the entire province to transform the image. Walang pumupunta sa amin. Mahina ang ekonomiya because pag wala daw stability yung aming peace and order, mga ganon. Kaya I thought na we need to do that in order for us to economically develop. Reverse yung image ng Kauswagan. That's why I think we were able to accomplish that as well. Na-reverse talaga namin. And then now investors are coming in. We are now starting to generate our own funds. Again, going back to procurement, yes, we do encounter, but as there are guidance on that under the procurement law. So, we make sure lang na hindi kami nakapag-violate dyan. Yun lang, may mga issues once in a while with regards to yung kukulangin ka and then, or yung wala sa program, and then of course you need to do something with we work closely with our local COA naman in everything that we procure. Yun na lang man ang kami very sensitive with regards to liquidation, with regards to working with COA. Yun.
Maraming salamat, Mayor. Actually, mga kaibigan, si Mayor ay isang napakagaling na local na leader. Isa sa mga very innovative at development-oriented na local chief executive. Can you share with us, Mayor, kung ano yung mga innovations doon sa inyong municipalities?
My primary target doon talaga is to be able to stabilize and having what we call sustained peace and order. Because we know that we cannot develop economically kung wala tayong kapayapaan. And when we were able to achieve that, because what's needed only was very simple lang para ma-achieve namin yon. Is gutom lang yung problema ng Kauswagan eh. And also is the entire Lanao del Norte. And that is because of the inefficiency of the government. No? For me, during that time, that's what I thought, na kulang talaga ang serbisyo ng gobyerno doon sa mga kapatid natin sa kabukiran. When we address the delivery of basic services, nakaka-achieve kami ng kapayapaan. So we were able to innovate na based on that. I make sure that we have a 365-day of capacitation to all the opportunities that was missed before, kailangan maibibigay natin ngayon. What are those opportunities? Ang kailangan, pagkain eh. So we primarily advocate on production of a lot of food. And of course, when you go to poverty. So we have to capacitate the people. We have been doing that since I became mayor. 365 days in a year, libreng capacitation in coordination with TISDA, with the ALS program of the DepEd, and also with private investors. So we are still doing that until now. We eliminated the poverty incidence to single digit from double digit, almost 80% when I became a mayor. And we progressed towards, of course, I think one of our topics is generation of our own funds. We make sure that people would come to Kauswagan. So we established the longest boardwalk, which is also an amusement park. We established the Fisherman's Wharf, which is maraming tindahan nandun. People can sell and people can go there every day, every weekend, every night. And then we institutionalize farming. We make sure farming, everybody does farming. And then pinapalakas namin yung mga barangay. We strengthen ginawa namin yung all-inclusive. In my management sa bayan, isinama ko na rin yung mga organization ko under my program of Arms to Farms. Kasama na yung mga commanders na MLF in my governance. Kasama na yung mga expanded. Lahat na organizations are welcome. All sectors are welcome to join in my special bodies. And in my, all the like for example, the Municipal Peace and Order Council namin, which is ang talagang ang aming pinofront doon, ang aming Ulama Supreme Council, being sensitive to the Muslim religion too. You know, and then We help the madrasa school of the weekend school of the Muslim community. Lahat ina-address. Yung whatever what was missed before, ina-address namin yan. And ngayon, I think I could say that we are the most peaceful municipality in the province dahil kasama ko na sa governance. We meet with the arms to farms commanders every other week. And to me, we discuss things about livelihood. We discuss about income, making more from out of our farms. Sinosubsidize ko yung farming methods namin. We bought a lot of agri-farm equipment. We call now Tauswagan as a fully mechanized municipality. Wala na yung kalabaw to address local massive food production as what was stated by President Duterte when he became the president. And at the same time also, on the Tukhang issue, we also create our own Kaswagan Youth Rehabilitation Reformatory Center. And until now, nagiging bahay silangan, which is, for myself, I think is the lone survivor of the program the entire country. Instead na ma-deplete the program, what pinalakas ko, 3 facility na yan, and we cater to all other municipalities in the problems of drugs. Those are the things that we did. Yung maalala ko ba, I know we have a lot more innovations in terms of how we manage peace, and we also how we manage economic enhancement sa community.
Maraming salamat ho, Mayor. Napakadami pala ng inyong accomplishments. Ngayon, meron akong isang mahalagang issue na itatanong dito kay Yusek. Alam ko na ang DILG involved kayo dito sa mga gumagawa ng planning guidelines, di ba, Yusek? Sa DILG. Ang isang dahil ito related again dito sa kanina na discuss natin. Sa national government kasi meron yung tinatawag na Tier 1, Tier 2, di ba? Yung Tier 1 ay ito depende yan kung yan ay depende kung yan ay i-implement na lang or whatever yung project na yan, di ba? Lahat kompleto na, lahat etc. Pati engineering design and so on. So kung ikukumpleto na, so siguro paano ito, Yusek? Pwede ba nating isama to sa guidelines na kapag ka nagplano yung mga LGUs at saka pagdating sa annual budget, yung mga Tier 1 pala o ano na pwedeng ma-implement kaagad ang bigyan nila ng priority. Ano sa tingin mo, Yusek?
Pwede naman. Although I think the key there is for DILG and DBM to agree. Kasi ang ating basihan si Local Budget Memorandum Circular eh.
Yeah.
Very macro ang pag-define no, na para bang the entire fiscal year is always zero, starts from zero, then in the national government, Tier 1 is mostly your continuing programs.
Yeah.
Yan ang magandang siguro innovation diyan, Tony, over time, no. Although I think and so, it depends on what si Mayor Arnado will also to me the annual budgeting is already siguro something to examine eh. Baka kailangan term-based na ang pag-budget. Yung buong 36 months na term ng LGU para may malakihan na pananaw, hindi lang sa annual budget. Kasi napaka-limited talaga ng perspective sa ganon. So kaya nagmamadali palagi kung ano ang pwede gawin and hindi pwede gawin. I've seen some of this being done by those who are, mayors at times and governors would look at their term as 3 years. Pero sa totoo lang, 9 years yun, di ba? Di ba, Mayor Arnado, hindi pwedeng tumingin 6 months kasi wala kang magawa niyan.
Kulang.
Kulang yan. So, I think why don't we just deal with the reality and really look at well, the election is something else, no? But better to have a longer perspective. Ang key dito, I think, is budgeting, Tony. Of course, listening to the mayor lang on the innovations that they are pursuing in when I say key ang budgeting, but the critical element in all of this is the quality of your leadership. Wala na tayong iba pang hahanapin dyan. So kung magkamali pagpili, magpasensyahan na lang tayo.
So yun, Yusek, tamang-tama, sakto. Sana nakikinig yung DBM at saka DILG at saka
Oh,
DOTR. Kasi ngayon ay ginagawa yung PFM reform roadmap, Yusek eh. So siguro maganda na konsultahin pa rin kayo tungkol yan para paano yung
we're just voices in the wilderness.
para kasi maganda yung mga kailangan malagay yung mga dapat na talagang nakatutok na mga reforms. Anyway, medyo ginagawa tayo na oras. Ang ganda na sana yung usapan natin. Pero kailangan lang ho nating upang sa kabuuan talaga, ang tamang pamamahala ng pundo ay hindi lamang mahalaga sa kasalukuyan, kundi pati sa hinaharap, no? So, Mayor Arnado, Yusek Oster, any final thoughts of how our LGUs can better manage their finances while achieving their development goals? Final thoughts on this, Yusek?
Yes. Number one is ako muna.
Yes.
Tony, the LGUs had to revisit the revenue codes. And nalaman ko medyo old na yung mga hindi na revisit ay yung mga charges nila is maliliit. That's our experience. And then they need to create a good business sense. Make sure na low ang criminality, yung something like that. And then you invite more investors by creating a good business environment. Yung sa amin ngayon, we make sure we have an effective collection of RPTs. Nag-i-issue na kami ngayon ng warrant of levies. I did create a program na gusto ko tanang ma-replicate ng mga ibang munisipyo because we don't need to create new taxes, but as long as we have efficient payment of, for example, the real property taxes. Kasi nakikita ko sa amin ang daming deficiencies. Nakita ko we need to collect around 60 million. So that's why I started the program years ago. Now we were able to be able to strictly collect this. So in the process, after the 3-day note, at the 3 times notice, you can issue the warrant of levy. Yun ang ginagawa ko ngayon. I know, sinabi nila, Mayor, political debt mo yan. Sabi ko, no, hindi. This is, kung nakakaintindi ang tao, ito yung tama. This is a certainty of being part of the community is to be able to pay our taxes regularly or mainstream ourselves to payment to those that have not paid at all. Kasi sa amin, ang hirap talaga. Ang mga tao sa kabukiran talagang mahirap nating kolektahin. But now, I am very proud to say, 50% of the community in the hinterlands are paying now their taxes. That is why nagiging tayong champion in the efficiency of collection of taxes. Yun lang, kailangan political will lang talaga sa mga mayor. Maraming pera dyan. If you know or if you have the political will to collect, issue the warrant of levies. Magtatakbuhan, maghahanap ng pera yan, magbabayad. That's like what we have experienced. We were able to collect more than 30% of the deficiency in just 1 year.
Maraming salamat, Mayor. Naku, yun pa naman sanang gusto kong pag-usapan natin pero walang panahon eh. Pero sa sunod, Mayor, baka pwedeng maimbitahan ka ulit natin. Pag-uusapan ho natin yan tungkol sa tax collection. Maganda hong topic ulit yan. Kayo po, Yusek, what are your final thoughts?
I fully agree with the mayor. I think the local revenue as side of this has to be really maximized, no? Ang dagdag ko lang dyan, I think to more yung paghandaan na ng mabuti. I was talking to a group of assessors last week eh. Kailangan na nilang paghandaan itong bagong batas na pinasa, yung RP Vara. hindi siya madali kaagad. I think the IRR will come out next September. So after publication, go na yan. So I think by early next year, that's really the one that is in effect. Paghandaan na yan kaagad para mabilis yung pag-implement along the lines of what the mayor has said, no? Kailangan mong i-maximize yung provision ng law kasi hindi na yan politically mabigat kasi it's national government ang nagtaas ng rate, no? Koleksyon na lang. Pangalawa, I think along the lines of itong ating pag-uusap, ang insight ko lang dito is one thing is to have a budget. The other equally important thing is to make sure that you utilize the budget as, at the desired pace and really used for the intended purpose. Kailangan hindi siya may sariling buhay yan, pero kung may sariling buhay at ang dulo mo hindi mo magawa ang lahat ng dapat mong gawin, may problema. So in fact, ang SGLG to my knowledge already includes a metric on the budget utilization rate. Mayroon yan. So
Mayroon.
saka yung both for social services and your overall total. Maganda yung metric na ganyan para mabantayan ng mayor, and I hope all the mayors are really take that seriously. Mid-year, you just have to assess how fast are you in doing the budget. Kasi pag hindi ka man lang mga lahati dyan or 40%, the likelihood that you're able to provide the services for the rest of the year is really going to be a problem. Then you end up with more money. Maybe, I don't know. To me, it's not really good if your basic services is not able to cover those who should be benefiting from it in the first place. Hindi ho tayo, dilita mo, uswag, walang improvement yan, hindi marating si SDG, but more than the SDG, the quality of life definitely is not going to be improved. So again, I'll just close by saying the key to this is leadership. So make sure that we elect the real good leaders. Thank you.
Thank you for the words of wisdom, Yosek and Mayor. At dyan po mga kaibigan, nagtatapos ang ating talakayan tungkol sa pursuing local governance through realistic finance. Sana ay marami tayong napulot na aral ngayong araw. Salamat kay Mayor Romel Arnado at saka former Yosek Oster Panadero at sa kanilang mahalagang input. Hanggang sa susunod mga kaibigan, at mga ka-peer. Ito si Peer Tony Avila, nagpapasalamat sa inyong pagtutok at pakikiisa. Ingat po tayo lagi. Maraming salamat